Holla! If you hear me, my freaks and geeks, TDKV here, and today my topic is superhero fatigue and if I think it's real. Before I get into the video, though, please do me a favor, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and turn the notifications on. I don't normally do videos, but I'm going to start getting into that and making that a regular thing. I do shorts, I go live, and the channel is a good time, good vibes. So, plays for all of us freaks and geeks. So, with that being said, though, superhero fatigue. So, I feel like since Endgame came out, there's just been that bad taste whenever it comes to superhero movies about them being made too abundantly, or people not interested anymore, or they dead, and just like what's like the future for whether it's Marvel, DC, or any other superhero type of movie. My opinion, I think that there's a lot of variables to consider because Endgame happened in 2019 or 2018. So long ago, I forget. But what happened after Endgame? Worldwide crisis, COVID. So that affected at least money revenue, because what a lot of people base movie success off of is how much money it makes, which is a very good, thing to look at, because most of the time, if a movie makes money, it's usually at least decent. Usually, I mean, a lot of times terrible movies make money too, in my opinion. But I think COVID happening, a lot of people couldn't go to theaters, or a lot of people, even towards like the end of like the hysteria of COVID, people were afraid to go to theaters, so there wasn't as many people going to movie theaters. And I mean, I'm just gonna say it like this with my opinion: Marvel quality went down drastically after Endgame. They've had a couple good movies since, but just a lot of bad movies, and I do think that there was just too much of it, too much to keep up with, too much to and not only just too much, but a lot of things that just weren't interesting. A lot of shows or movies that I felt like there's more characters deserving of their own show than who we got shows from. DC kind of always has been running uphill. Aside from Batman and Superman, they've kind of always had a problem. And yeah, so they're like, I think that's been their biggest downfall, is they've made quite a few stinkers that weren't the two big names. And I mean, Wonder Woman was good too, and I think that made money. But I mean, when it comes down to it, I think COVID had a lot to do with just like the general, like, where the superhero fatigue, at least like the talks of it, started. And then not only after that, but then the economy's kind of sucked lately. So whenever you're picking and choosing movies, if you've seen the past 3 MCU movies, let's say, and they've sucked or you weren't happy with them, why are you even going to take a risk on it after the fact? Whenever, like, especially if you have Disney Plus, it's going to come to Disney Plus eventually. That's a big factor. And that's why, like, a lot of movies aren't making money, per se. And then, so, because, like, the same thing with DC. If you have HBO Max, because HBO Max is a lot more expensive than Disney Plus. So, if you're paying for that monthly, you're just going to wait. Because, unless it's, like, a very hyped up movie that you want to see, that, at least that's, like, my opinion. Like, I know these movies are eventually going to come to some streaming platform, so I don't see a lot of them. Unless it's a movie I'm really excited about, I don't even waste my time anymore. And it's such a shame, but that's just what the economy's come down to. We got to pick and choose where we spend our money at. Because whenever you go to the movie theater with two people, you get 2 tickets, and if you want popcorn and a drink, you're almost spending $50 a lot of the time. So there's that to consider. Superhero fatigue, though. I don't even like. My personal opinion, I do feel like superhero movies, Marvel, DC, just all of it, they had their fame, they had their glory. You know, everybody loved some type of Marvel movie, whether it's Captain, like everybody loved something. It was popular. I think its popularity, I guess you could say, it's starting to dwindle a little bit, but I feel like there's always been an audience for it. And it's always been like before the MCU. I mean, everybody's loved Spider-Man, everybody's loved Batman. The big names have always and probably will always sell. They will always, the people will go watch them. Whenever you put a niche little character and you make a movie or a show about them, not as many people are going to care. Again, people who've been reading comics all their life, they'll be like, yeah, okay, this is cool. But like that, the popularity thing's just like not there. So like, I don't think it's so much a fatigue. I just think it's just been an overabundance. And so I'm just going to get right into it. So I have a couple like lists up. So we have, so these are a list of MCU movies that have come out since Endgame. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Okay, that did good. And that's been a franchise, like, you know, a little franchise in itself that didn't really ever have a strikeout, and everybody's loved. And so like it was the ending of, you know, them too. So like everybody was excited for it. So everybody went. Fantastic Four. I actually love this movie a lot. It might not have performed that well in the box office, but I still think it did great. And again, I think what a lot of this has to do with is, I don't know, again, like you could let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong, but I think the economy and people being a little bit more pickier about what they go to watch is what is a big key factor in it. But Fantastic Four is a fantastic movie, and Thunderbolt wasn't even bad either. It's typically not my typical, like, I don't know, because like I don't really have a passion for any of the characters in it, but it was a good movie. Sentry, I think they did really well with Sentry, but again, just like the hype train, I think that's like a classic case of just not a lot of people that interested in MCU as a whole, so they weren't going. But if you read reviews, I mean, everybody who went to go see it for the most part loved it. I watched it for the first time actually last week on Disney Plus, and I thought it was good. So, Spider-Man: No Way Home. That's probably been that had some of the most hype since Endgame. I mean, that didn't come out long after Endgame too. That was 2021. But I mean, it was awesome. Spoiler alert: we got to see the 3 Spider-Men in a live-action movie together. A lot of us dream. So that was going to do good regardless. Deadpool Wolverine. I love that movie. I thought it was funny. Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine was awesome. And seeing a lot of the side characters come back. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I watched that. I didn't have many gripes with it. Only thing I didn't like Namor. Like the way they casted Namor and everything, but I don't think the movie was bad though. Shang-Chi's actually a lot better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. I love the fighting scenes, and I'm a sucker for dragons, so having dragons at the end was just badass in my opinion. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This one was a little bit of a disappointment just because it's called Multiverse of Madness, and mean, there was a little bit of madness, I guess, but like I felt like a lot of us were going into that expecting a lot more. But still a good movie though. Black Widow. So this is the first case of where it didn't have a movie. It didn't have a theatrical run, and so that's where like it might not have made that much money just because of the fact that like you had to buy it on Disney Plus and it was like $22 I think. And I don't know. I mean, it was a good movie, but yeah, just people theaters were not open during this time. Spider-Man Far From Home. I mean, the Spider-Man movies have been solid with Tom Holland. Brave New World. I feel like this is just a case of people think Captain America, they think Steve Rogers, not Sam Wilson. And I felt like they thought that they were going to get people to come in with the Red Hulk. But after, people found out, oh, Red Hulk's actually not in this for very long. And just, I don't know. It's just, I really don't know what happened with this one. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. It's just a lot of the CGI in it was bad. They had Kang in it, and they had him end up getting defeated very easily. It's just I'm gonna retract. Actually, I said that it wasn't that bad of a movie. It definitely wasn't good. There was a lot left. There was a lot that could have been done. A lot that just was left to be desired, and then this piece of crap right here, Eternals. I didn't see one redeeming quality about this movie. I mean, the Celestials were in it, but beyond that, like, it just, I don't know. The Marvels. I mean, again, that's just like one of those cases that, like, nobody asked for this movie. Why are we getting it? It's kind of like the same thing with Eternals. Like, I mean, Punisher, even though Punisher was in the Daredevil show and whatnot, and he got his own TV show, there's just so many more, like Ghost Rider. There's just so many more Marvel characters that I feel like deserve the spotlight than the Marvels or the Eternals. And then Thor: Love and Thunder was just, they made Thor such a joke. And it's just such a shame because Chris Hemsworth is awesome as Thor. But then they go ahead and they just make him the farce that he was in this movie. So, I don't know. It was just the quality. So, I mean, there's been 15 movies. And out of them, okay, we're going to name 1, 2... Okay, so it's like a 50-50 shot, I'd say, because I'd say there's about 7 or 8 good MCU movies that came out. Not great, but good. And I mean great ones. I mean 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 great ones. Whenever, like, before, like, MCU was just, like, every movie was almost a home run. Almost. So, quality went down drastically. And then we're going to go over to the... Oh. There we go. This is what I wanted to click on. Shows. Secret Invasion. I love this. So, growing up, I remember this being I remember, like, whenever the comic book series, like, Secret Invasion, the 6-story limited series was coming out. That was, like, the big event whenever I was first getting into reading comics. And the show just shit all over that. and it was a disgrace. Werewolf by Night, I actually liked a lot. It wasn't like anything special, but like I liked because I'm a big fan of the Universal classic monster movies. So like that just gave me like those vibes, and just uh, I love that. So like I actually thought that was good. Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was a disappointment to say the least. I mean, a lot of good ideas were in it, and it had potential, but just I don't know, just the way it was executed, it just didn't feel right. I didn't actually watch a holiday special. I don't think. I don't remember it if I did. Echo. I wanted to watch it, but I didn't even bother just because. This is one of those cases. Why did this need to happen? Why did we need an Echo show? I so many more deserving characters, and just a show. I just think that if they just didn't make it, they could have saved themselves money and saved themselves a headache of not getting just like a bad rap. Their animated shows have been good. Marvel Zombies was really good, and I love the comic series. Ironheart, and I think that this little caption right here, I had the show been released a few years earlier. I definitely feel like this was like one of those like I don't know. It wasn't a terrible show. I do feel like it would have benefited more had it been released at a different time. But I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, it wasn't terrible. But this is like whenever people started to just didn't care. She-Hulk. She-Hulk, there's aspects of the show I love, and then there's aspects of the show that I'm just like, why? And honestly, I mean, that's the whole point of She-Hulk, though. She was always just like she was always like a comedy act in the comics, so like you expect that from the show. So I mean, I don't think it's as bad as everybody wanted it to be, or as everybody makes it out to be, but people also just said it's like this is like whenever like people really just started to just love taking a dookie on anything that MCU was making and internet trolls. I don't think it was completely terrible though. What If series was great. I love the What If comics, and I just love the show. Hawkeye. I remember I had COVID during watching this show, and just like bad memories for me personally, but I mean the show wasn't bad. Agatha all along was a very enjoyable watch. Moon Knight. I can't really put my finger on it, and just being able to like say something like that about Moon Knight's just like a disappointment, because this is like one of like the Marvel's awesome characters, and I felt like the show left a lot to be desired, and I don't think we're getting a season 2. I didn't even know this was a thing, to be awesome, and Eyes of Wakanda. So this is something that like I might have to go back and watch. Sorry. Daredevil Born Again. I actually need to watch this. But I heard really good things about it, and I'm just gonna leave that there. I mean, I just haven't had time. Life has been kind of busy. But Daredevil Born Again, I've heard a lot of good things about it. But the fact that there's been this many movies and shows, this is like where my point is. Too much content, and too much of it has been bad. So you're just like very decisive, and you're making your like a lot of your audience split, and then a lot of them just like, why am I even going to stick around? Especially if they didn't always have a passion for the characters or comics, like for a long period of time. Because people like good cinema. Like sometimes that's just what people are a fan of more, and if you don't make good of it, then what's the point? Friendly Neighborhood show it wasn't bad. I mean, I always think the '90s show is the OG. Miss Marvel, I couldn't get into, but I also feel like this is one of those things where it was made for kids, so I get that it wasn't made for older men. Low key, I thought both seasons were awesome. And WandaVision was good too, but there was a lot more bad shows than good shows, and a lot of shows that just didn't need made. Just don't know why they exist. And then DC. So I'm just gonna go from Endgame. I don't think Shazam came out before Endgame. The Kitchen, didn't watch that. Joker was really good. Joker came out, I think, the same month or just about the same month as Endgame. Joker was awesome, though. Birds of Prey, it wasn't terrible, but it suffered from the same tragedy as a lot of movies, that they didn't get a theatrical run or a very long one, if they did at all. Wonder Woman 84, I wasn't really that big fan of that. Zack Snyder's Justice League, I love that movie. I've only seen it all the way through twice though, because it's 4 hours long, and I feel like if that would have came out, or if more of a version of that than the actual Justice League movie we got came out, things might be a little bit different. But I'd try not living in a world of what ifs. The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one, loved it. I thought it was just so funny, and I just think the only thing that hindered it was the fact that, where is it at? This Suicide Squad came out before it, and that was a disappointment. So I think that was the only thing that hindered this, and it also came out during COVID, so I think it came out on HBO Max for that month, or before this release. Batman, I remember being the Batman being one of the first movies that I seen in theaters after, and oh my god, I don't care what anybody. So Dark Knight will always be one of my favorite movies all the time, but I feel like the Batman does a better job at being a Batman movie than the Dark Knight. And that may or may not make sense to you. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that. I didn't watch this, but we're not going to count that. Black Adam, I fell asleep during watching that. I didn't even bother to go to theaters. The Rock the DC universe, and just trying to take over. And sorry, Black Adam's not a central character enough to do that. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, I still need to see this, actually. The Flash, I went to go to movies to see that, and so I don't think it was a completely terrible movie. I do feel like Ezra Miller, with his troubles he had, really hurt this movie. And then I also feel like everybody was just giving up on DC at that point, and this was the accumulation of it. And then Blue Beetle was, why? That could have been a 6-episode show, and I feel like that would have been taken a little bit easier. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Dude, DC had so many, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, technically. Because, I don't think Flash was completely terrible, but this didn't do really well. Blue Beetle did horrible. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I can't remember what the box office was, but, not a lot of people like this. The second Joker movie, oh my god, it's such a tragedy. They should have just kept it as a solo movie. The fact that we got a sequel to it is just disgusting. It is what it is, though. Superman I like a lot. I'd actually just watched that for the first time 2 weeks ago. Because again, I just haven't had enough time. And I've been trying to save money, and that in lies where I think a lot of a lot of movies that typically would have done better at box office aren't, is because a lot of us have to pinch our pockets a little bit more. So a movie like Superman, I felt like if the economy was a little bit better and people were a little bit more comfortable in life, that would have done even better in the box office. The same with Fantastic Four. I actually seen Fantastic Four in the movies, and yeah, and I guess we got Supergirl coming up next, but no, that I don't know. So I guess, like, did I answer the question, is superhero fatigue real? I think for some it is, and for others like myself who will always love comic books, superheroes, and anything Marvel, DC, or anything else. So here's another movie that came out too. I'm just going to talk about real quick. Is the movie Bloodshot. Valiant Comics. Growing up as a '90s kid, I loved Valiant Comics. I just felt like it was just a terribly made movie. There's been a lot of stinkers. A lot of these companies are like, all right, well, if we could push out anything that's comic book related, we'll make some money off of it. And we eventually catch on, and we just get sick and tired of it. But no. So I do feel like for some, superhero fatigue's real, and it was just a short-lived fandom for some, and for others like myself, I will always be a fan of such, of said franchises. But I hope that superhero movies don't become irrelevant altogether completely. I just feel like they'd be more special if they were made a little bit more spaced between. And I also feel like these companies need to chillax on the budget they're spending on these movies, because then if they don't spend as much, and then because it's crazy to me that a movie can make $500-600 million and be considered a flop. That many, it's like, to me personally, that does not mean the movie did bad. I just feel like the studio did bad at budgeting and wasn't smart with the way they spent their money. So sometimes it's just mind-boggling to me. But that's my opinion. And if you're still here and you haven't yet, like I said, please subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. In the corner right up here, you see the 1,468. That's how many subscribers I have. I'm on the road to 1,500. And we're getting there. But you're smart, you're kind, you're capable. Please don't forget it. Until next time, all my freaks and geeks. See ya.